My name is Paul Sohi. I'm an industrial designer for Autodesk. I like to build things, take on design challenges, and collaborate with designers, engineers, and fabricators from all over the world to build better things. They have some pretty great stories, and these are some of them. Welcome to Intersect, presented by Redshift. We're here today with Louisa from Micro. Louisa, welcome.
Thanks.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
I'm already a big fan of Micro, but I imagine that a fair few people watching this probably don't know what you guys do. So can you tell me a little bit about Micro and what you guys make?
Sure. We make small science museums that we install in public spaces to help broader communities access high-quality science knowledge.
It's awesome. I'm all about learning, especially when it's science-based, because science is the best. So how did you guys get started, and what was the impetus and drive behind creating Micro in the first place?
Well, a lot of people love science museums, just like you, but the access to them is very limited. So currently, they tend to cluster in wealthy neighborhoods, and people who attend them tend to be very white and very educated. So we wanted to take that same experience and be able to access a much broader audience for that informal knowledge. So we decided to take the museum out of the museum and instead put it in public spaces in communities where people are already spending their time. So our science museums are very small. They're about 6 feet tall and they're 2 feet on a side. And so we can put them anywhere. We can put them in the lobby of a public hospital, we can put them in a public library, and then when people are already spending their time there, they get to learn about mollusks.
That's awesome. Mollusks are definitely worth learning about. Mollusks are what is a mollusk?
It's an interesting question because there's actually no formal definition of one.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. I learned something new.
But yeah, our first museum series is called The Smallest Mollusk Museum, and it explores 650 million years of evolutionary history in 15 different exhibits with small movie theaters and 3D prints and a digital aquarium.
That's super cool. Traditionally speaking, if you said museum to someone, of course they'd think of a building that they have to go into. So how do you guys define museum?
Well, we use a lot of the same tricks that museum designers do. So we try and make sure our museums are museumy, we say. But a lot of that comes into the design aspects. So they're made out of this beautiful material, white corian, which has sort of a lovely light glow from it. So from a design aspect, it looks very high quality, it looks very high end. So when you go into a museum and you see these large spaces or these beautiful exhibits, we bring that same attention to detail into our design work so that when people see it, it feels like a special experience.
So you mentioned, you're a designer. It's interesting that this is what you've chosen to address as a problem. Like, I'm assuming you're just really fascinated by science, or is there? How did you arrive at this? Of like, this is the thing that I want to solve.
Well, so my background, I originally studied architecture, and I have a graduate degree in engineering. So I come from a design background, and sort of as I worked through different things, the design of the human scale has always been really interesting. So not tiny little things, not huge buildings, but something that people can access very easily in their personal space. And so that's these different types of public space interventions, again, create a different experience in a public space. People think of when they're in public, they're by themselves, they don't want to connect with anyone. And so by placing something in their path, you then get people to connect in a way that they otherwise wouldn't. And that's kind of exciting. So you see people sort of talking about the exhibits with each other, strangers who they never would have had a conversation with otherwise, or sort of giggling at the effect or this or that. So kind of getting people a little outside their comfort zones and finding tricks to do that is really exciting for me.
I would argue personally, a unique combination of things that arrives at a product like this. I think if someone is an industrial designer, they're not necessarily going to have the same experiences and understanding of like how people interact with space at an architectural level. And that's sort of how, in my mind at least, Micro is uniquely successful.
Yeah, we have, we pride ourselves on our interdisciplinary team. So the two founders, one has a science background, she was an ecologist, and the other comes from a film background. So he sort of has a different type of design background. And then sort of our team is around, our main content developer was a novelist, so she had no science writing background, and a journalist, so that's where. But So yeah, we sort of all come with our own perspective and our own backgrounds, and that sometimes, any disciplinary team causes some friction because we have our own perspectives, but I think it also creates a really robust product because we can all bring our own experiences, and therefore we can reach many different people, and we get the benefit of all these different kinds of ways of looking at the world.
That's really awesome. You might even say you intersect a few different professions. Sorry. Why do you think that